Good day, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you're ready for this week. I certainly am. There's many things that I will be announcing this week. But besides that, I now have an article in the news that many of you have been talking about, and this article basically encompasses many of your concerns in the past, and this is with regards to the JAB program, and I will call it that from now on, just to make sure that this video goes out and it gets shown to as many people as possible. And this is where our laws, Constitution, Bill of Rights become a complete mess, and it should make patently clear how undecided, imperfect, and how messed up not only our Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the laws that are supposed to be guided by the Bill of Rights and Constitution are at this stage. And even Julius Malema has said that in the past, that we should actually go, and I agree with him, and re-look at all the laws and align them with the Constitution. Whether you agree with that Constitution or not, that is what should happen. And currently, the gun laws are being aligned with our Constitution. And how this helps is the fact that then people realize how bad it is, and then they will do something about it. Because at the moment, many people think we can just carry on the way that we are. And this is from Business Insider, and it says businesses told they can fire workers who refuse COVID-19 vaccines. But it's not that simple. It's never that simple. Nothing is that simple because it's a mess. That is why it's not simple. If it was simple, it should be clear-cut, and all laws should be clear-cut enough that they can be applied and administered. And it's often better for a bad law to be applied properly so people can rise up and do something about it. Because when you're in gray areas, people often just sit back and do nothing. As long as they can have their braai and their beer and their sports, many people are content, or their tea parties. But let's continue. As South African companies consider mandatory vaccine policies, employers are encouraged to explore a range of options to accommodate workers who reject the jab. But one option could be to part ways with such employees. Fire them. Let's just put it in simple terms. They have been told workers may object to taking the vaccine for religious, constitutional, and medical reasons. How about just not believing in it? They don't include that there. If they can't be accommodated in the workplace, then employers may consider terminating their employment based on operational requirements and incapacity grounds. Now, I know in Eskom, when I was in Eskom, the contracts would say that your contract can be terminated at any time for operational reasons. And operational reasons is one of those vague areas. When you sign that contract, that means that they can basically fire you for anything that they can conjure up. And then they might have to go to the CCMA if you take them to the CCMA, and then you must convince someone there that those are good reasons, etc. It's a complete mess, and there's no ways of actually getting this right, because actually having a job is a privilege. This is why you are weak when you have a job. It's a weakness. It's not an advantage, and it's not your right to have a job. No one has ever had a right to a job. You have a right to work, but you see, in this Rothschild financial system, your right to work is only earmarked for certain industries. So it's so controlled, and this is why jobs become the main driving factor for political parties, politicians, all the fake political parties and politicians. If you are a political party, you should drive environments where people can run businesses so that they can create jobs. No politician can promise you jobs because it's impossible to promise jobs. It's a privilege to have a job. It's not a right. Let me continue. And a lot of people don't understand this. South Africa's Labour Department recently updated its guidelines for dealing with COVID-19 in the workplace, which now requires companies to declare whether they plan to make vaccinations compulsory. So the Labour Relations Department, in their guidelines, they have basically asked the companies to say whether they're going to make it mandatory or not. At the National Economic Development and Labour Council, NEDLAC, government and the private sector agreed that workers' refusal to take the COVID-19 vaccine should not justify a dismissal, and it shouldn't. But last week, Business for South Africa, B4SA, told Business that the revised guidance does not bar employers from firing workers who reject the vaccine. Okay, so there's a definite drive for that to happen, to get rid of employees who do not want to get the jab. There is nothing contained in the revised Occupational Health and Safety Direction which prohibits an employer from dismissing an employee who has been identified as high risk and who has refused to be vaccinated and cannot be reasonably accommodated, before SA told its constituents. Now, if you go and look at before SA, where their funding comes from, etc., then I always say, follow the money trail and you will get your answers. And I keep on quoting, but employers are encouraged before considering such action to seek legal advice given the complexities of such a dismissal, said before SA. The fact that they are mentioning this means that they are driving this narrative. So go and look at Before SA's website, their Facebook pages and so on, and let them have it, people. Before considering a dismissal, they say dismal here, employers must have first conducted a risk assessment of their workplace to determine the category of employees which it requires to be vaccinated on a mandatory basis. Riola Koch, a professional support lawyer at law firm CDH Employment Practice, said, how on earth do you make that determination? Really, where do you draw the line? This is absolutely farcical. According to Koch, there are two main reasons you could get fired for refusing to be vaccinated if you are a high-risk employee and cannot be accommodated in the workplace. After considering the employee's reasons for refusal, such as medical, religious, constitutional, and cultural, the employee is mandated, once again, nothing that says that you just don't believe in it or you think it's dangerous. It's not included. The employee is mandated to assess whether it is necessary for the employee in question to be inoculated and whether they fall under a high-risk category where vaccinations are required. Dealing with dismissals on a case-by-case basis will determine the fairness of the termination and the employee's role, work environment, the alternatives they have or have not been provided, and the reasons for objection should be taken to account, Cox said. Now, once again, I want to make clear here that nobody has a right to work. Not to work, to a job. Nobody has a right to a job. It's a privilege to have a job, and anyone with a job are at risk. This is just how things are, and the fact that the Rothschild financial system has made it possible for these large conglomerates and these large corporations to give jobs to people doesn't mean that you can't work. We should have an environment where you will be able to work your land or fields or whatever the case may be, or work together in a community to sustain yourself. A job should not be necessary for you to sustain yourselves, because you need 5 things for survival: water, food, shelter, energy, and something to keep you sane. Now, those 5 things do not require a job if society restructures itself at all. A dismissal for operational requirements being a standard form retrenchment could mean you no longer fit into the organogram because you refuse to be vaccinated, where all the employees in this category are required to be vaccinated, Cox said, which means they will be discriminating against a certain group of employees, which again becomes a constitutional and a Bill of Rights issue. The company could argue that a particular COVID-19 high-risk category, because of the vaccination requirements, has had to undergo a restructuring and disqualifies workers who refuse the vaccine, she said. They're already giving people ideas here. In a situation where this is an employee that we've identified must be vaccinated due to their job role, the vaccine is available to be administered, and there's a refusal and you require somebody in that position, then the employer would need to go the operational requirement route, she said. So in other words, they can create a position where they say, for this position, it's a higher risk position, you need to be vaccinated for this job. So in future, people applying for jobs, be ready for you to having had received the vaccine to be qualifying to even be interviewed or looked at for that job. Workers can also be dismissed for incapacity where an employee can simply no longer perform the task required of them or because of medical reasons. I'm not going to go through the rest of this article, but it makes it very clear that even like in America now, where they're promoting the fact that even on dating sites, that people that have had the vaccine have more chances of being accepted as a date than not. I mean, it's getting absolutely ridiculous. but this is what's happening in the world. And these companies are building up cases now where they are giving people examples of how they can dismiss employees who do not want to take the jab. Now, as usual, you can find the link to this article in the description below this video. And on the banner of my channel, Double O Days, you will find 5 social media links. Please go and follow me on those links if you prefer. Go to Odyssey if you prefer not to watch the videos on YouTube. And then you can also find the Double O Days Capitec bank account for this channel to continue operating. If you make donations to there, it goes towards the videos that I make, all the travels that I have to do, and you will see the future videos that I put onto this channel will take a fair amount of finances to actually get done. And the video that I'll do on the Voortrekker Monument will be a documentary type series, and I will be doing special filming for that, just to give you an example. But just remember, this channel is about freedom that is under attack, that there's a global plan to take our freedom of choice away. And this is another example of that freedom being taken away. All my in the news articles are related to the things I discuss in my meetings. I don't cover the sensational stuff out there. I could have had hundreds of thousands of subscribers by now if I wanted to cover Julius Malema and Cyril Ramaphosa. This is not why this channel is there. We are actually doing real work on the ground, and this is unique, and YouTube is a platform that I use to make that possible. And I look forward to meeting many of you in future meetings. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. For those of you who have not subscribed yet, please subscribe and then click the bell icon for notifications for new videos. Go and watch the Question Everything and Moments in Time series so that you understand what this channel is about, and I'll be adding to those soon. Thank you very much. Till the next video.